If you were to look better naked, do you think it's going to help or hinder your business? People are going to respect you more. More business opportunities are going to come to you. It's like an unwritten, the laws of human nature, one of them.
Looking in the mirror and like seeing some fucking fat slob that you're not proud of and you're insecure about, that's a killer.
Like in business, it's the boring stuff that you know you should be doing that you're avoiding. That's going to be your biggest ROI. It's the same with your health.
What was the reason that you stepped into the gym and effectively we've got the Alex that we have today?
Like a lot of people, stemmed from insecurity. If a client comes to us and they're wanting to lose weight, they think that we're going to turn the whole world upside down. Chicken and broccoli, you can only have this, and the other. No. What you need to do to create behavior change is to meet someone where they're currently at. You can have that cookie. I'm not asking you to eat chicken and broccoli, rice, whatever. Have the cookie. Just have it in the 80-20 approach. Oh, well, so I was on 1,200 calories. They put me on your Himbine, which is like it's a fat burner, but basically just increases your heart rate. And I was doing cardio 5 times a week. Can you sustain that for the next 10 years? Oh, no. Why do you think you put the weight back on?
Yo guys, and welcome back to the Gooms Podcast. Today we had Alex, an online fitness coach who's specializing in delivering transformations for entrepreneurs. We spoke about how childhood trauma from bullying has shaped him to the man that he is today, scaling his business, health and fitness, and much, much more. We love delivering these episodes every week for you guys, so make sure that you hit that subscribe button. It means the absolute most to me and Chris. Enjoy the episode.
This podcast is shot, edited, and brought to you guys by our marketing agency, GMS Creative.
Since GMS came in and took over our socials, our Instagram and social media has just blown up.
The guys are really good. They really get my vision. We've worked together for over a few years now.
One of the best things about working with GMS Creative is the fact that I've got so much time back. They allow me to do what I do best. They manage the social media and advertising, and I can work on fulfilling orders and creating great products that our customers love.
If you're interested in finding out how me, H, and our team can help propel you and your online presence, click the link in our description to book a free call in today. Oh, press that subscribe button. Peace. The reason why we're more affordable and the reason why it's only 3 months is because we want to show you and prove to you we are what we say we are. And at the 3-month mark, if we then want to go from 16 reels to 30 and we want to start pushing sponsored ads and then we're going to talk about the pricing at that 3-month mark. But we've already gained that trust.
Yeah.
We've already built up the trust between us. It's like having that personal touch. We've shown you that we are the shit.
Yeah.
So now instead of saying to you on the first thing, it's $5,000 a month and you need to sign it away for 12 months before you even know what we're actually about. At that 3-month mark, it's given us an opportunity to prove to you we're the shit.
Not just talk.
We're the shit, yeah. We do what we say we do and we do it well. Do you want to work with us for longer? And if so, are you ready to go to the next level? Because we are. And that's when you can kind of get away with that extra $1,500 or $2,000 a month.
They trust us, though.
Exactly.
Right? Oh, beautiful. Awesome.
Yeah.
Right, we're good.
But I think we should give everyone a bit of context. We've been rolling for 30 minutes, guys, without the mics on. So we're running it back. But we're here.
Kick it off.
Yeah.
I was just saying to H then, like, we'll just redo it all, and you guys just got to act really shocked that I've not said it before. Like, oh, that's so insightful.
For someone at home that is maybe struggling with their health, what would you say are the 3 main things that they could change to actually drastically improve the way that they feel?
I'd say it's the big 3. You guys aren't going to like
Oh,
this
you already
answer.
have a big 3?
Damn, motherfucker came prepared.
I say this all the time, and maybe I'm mismarketing myself, but it's the stuff that seems insignificant, isn't sexy, and doesn't sell that is what's going to be your biggest ROI. And so the first thing I'll say to someone, let's have a look at your sleep. Oh, I sleep well. Right, that's subjective. We want data over feelings. So, are you tracking your sleep? No. Right, well, come back to me once you've tracked your sleep for a few weeks. If they've done that and they're coming back with like 70, 60 sleep scores out of 100, there's work to do that. So before we even contemplate this special little pill that says it improves your cognitive performance or whatever, let's get those sleep scores up to 85 consistently around about that. Let's see how you feel. We do that stuff. We put in the protocols for that. And like, oh, I've got more energy. Like, I can work harder. I can work longer. I'm not as anxious. I've got more strength. Yeah, it's just sleep.
What are the
Best
sleep
performance
protocols?
enhancing drug there is.
What are the sleep protocols?
So very basically, you want to do something with your sleep hygiene. So that just basically means how good is your environment for sleeping. So the big ones are pitch black, low temperature, about 16 degrees, and you want comfort as well. I'd start there, and then we'd want to build it up. But before we even consider supplements like perhaps like magnesium or ashwagandha, get those basics in place first before even doing the fancy stuff. So we'd start with the sleep, and then once that's good, you've set the foundation then for being able to move more. You don't really want to move when you're sleep deprived. And people are, I'm not sleep deprived. Again, go back to the data. If the difference between a good night's sleep and even an average night's sleep is insane. Like, you're more optimistic, as I was saying before. Like, you feel like you can do more, you can push more, you can focus for more. And so people often misdiagnose themselves. I've got ADHD, I just can't focus, or whatever. No, you're just not sleeping right, mate. And it's not your fault. Look at the artificial lights we're under right now. That's suppressing a secretion of melatonin. It's not so much an issue during the day, but in the evening, that's a big, big issue. You look at the environment to live. When we go to bed, everything's synthetic. We want organic cotton sheets for that comfortability, that breathability, that low temperature. So there's all these things that we're not even aware of. And that's, you spend a third of your life asleep or in your bed. You better make sure you invest into that bedroom. Good quality mattress, temperature, pitch black. Even one of the quick big wins we have with clients with that sleep, they really struggle, is mouth tape. Mouth tape is like really, really good for if you wake up particularly groggy in the morning, just tape your mouth for 7 days. See how you feel. Give it a go. And what that's going to do is improve nitric oxide through your nose. It's going to improve the oxygenation of the actual air that you're breathing in. And it's going to reduce basically feeling groggy in the morning. So mouth tape is a good one. And then I find temperature for most people, especially men, is a big, big one. They think the room's cool enough. Get it cooler. Breathable sheets, well-ventilated room. Invest into like an air purifier, or you can invest into what we have, something like an 8-pod Pro, which basically is like a fancy mattress cooler. I have one. And then what that does, it just cools the bed throughout certain stages of your sleep, so that you can, in theory, maximize each stage of your sleep. But what you're doing there is cooling the room. You'll find just by most people, cooling the room, pitch black, comfort, start there. Then your stress is much better, because there's no such thing as too much stress. There's just a thing of not enough recovery. So if you're really, really stressed, it's more of a reason to be prioritizing your sleep. If you're training, you're walking, you're running a business, you've got the missus, all these, maybe you've got sales calls, stresses, and then you're skipping on sleep, well then there's no point me giving you adaptogens like ashwagandha or whatever, Tonga Ali or Shilajit, whatever you want to call it, magnesium, all these supplements that potentially help with stress. There's no point looking into that until we've sorted out your sleep. And people switch off because it's like, oh, sleep, bang on about. But if it's like in business, it's the boring stuff that you should be doing that you're avoiding. That's going to be your biggest ROI. It's the same with your health. Sleep fast. Then we look at the nutrition, I would say, as a second close. And then, of course, training. But we find people don't really struggle with training. Like, yourself, like, mostly love training. It's the diet that catches a lot of people out.
That's me.
It's massive, right?
I'm a sucker for food, man.
Yeah, dude, I'm a massive foodie. I used to have like 10,000 calories one sitting. Like, I'm really bad with food.
Wait, are you being literal?
Yeah, I used to be 16 stone when I was younger. I've been skinny, fat. And
Now you've got fucking road maps going down your arms, bro.
Google Maps, that's how I got there. Just took the direction. But, it wasn't always like this, man. And this is why, again, I love coaching, is because some people I think a lot of people actually have a fixed mindset, and it really prevents them from getting to where they want to go. So if someone's really out of shape, they can either just play the victim, be like, I'm doomed. It's never worked in the past. And I'll ask them, well, how many programs have you done before? Oh, I've done a handful, didn't really, lost a bit of weight, but put it back on. So a big, big part of it is we don't have an issue losing the weight, it's keeping it off long term. And I go, well, what was your approach? Oh, well, so I was on 1,200 calories. They put me on your Himbine, which is like it's a fat burner, but basically just increases your heart rate. And I was doing cardio 5 times a week. Well, can you sustain that for the next 10 years? Oh, no. Well, why do you think you put the weight back on? And again, it's not sexy, but sustainability is the best way. So if someone's doing carnivore, keto, whatever, animal-based it is now, that's very popular. Eating off a chopping board, that's very popular. Can you do that through a social aspect with the missus? Oh, no, we're eating off a chopping board tonight. No, you can't have spaghetti. It's not animal-based. Well, it might sound cool and sexy for Instagram because you put it on your story, but that's not going to get you the long-term results.
I fell victim to that, bro.
Dude, everyone does.
Yeah. The best approach for me is like just the whole foods. It doesn't matter what it is. Just the whole food single ingredient is like literally my life has improved since I just started eating like that. Genuinely, like it was Whole Foods before, but it was off a chopping board, and like it wasn't so much like I was eating less carbohydrates because you struggle to get those through Whole Foods mostly
by default.
Yeah.
Right. But we say the 80-20 approach. 80% whole food, 20% whatever you like. Even if it's the dreaded seed oils, which, by the way, when it plays out to real world outcomes, the randomized controlled trials actually shows that there's potential benefits to the dreaded seed oils. But when you look at the mechanistic point of view, and everyone's looking at how it works, like, oh, that's bad for you. But that just creates neuroticism around food. I can't have that, it's got seed oil in. Well, now you can't go out to dinner and you're having an argument with your missus because you can't have this sauce because it's got seed oils in. Like,
But I love that stage.
yeah.
No.
This is it though, like, it all works well in theory, like this is the optimal diet and look how good I am, everyone on social media. But you apply that to real world client dinners, you're just neurotic, you're antisocial, and it's not sustainable because then it's kind of like me telling you not to think about a pink elephant, or just popped in your head, pink elephant most likely. And so if I tell you not to eat something, it's forbidden fruit, and it's what you're gonna think about. Oh, I can do it.
Want to eat it?
I'm gonna do it. Just try it. And then you develop a binge eating disorder or a disorder type of eating because of this so-called optimal approach, which is eating off a cutting board, which is.
To be fair, the food tastes good off there, man.
Yeah, for sure. I still eat off a cutting board every now and again with some cheeses, some sliced ham. That's great. But then I'll also go and have a pizza tomorrow or some chocolate. It's in that 20%. And then people look at me like, oh, I bet you eat so clean and strict. I do 80% of the time because I value it, because of how it makes me feel. But also I've realized that if you cut it out completely, that processed stuff and the bad stuff, then you're just going to want to crave it more. And I know that's true because I've gone through it, and we help clients. They come to us and they've basically developed disordered eating because they tried to get in shape through an extreme approach that they seen by some guy on the internet that had a PhD, so it must be true. And then, lo and behold, they've effectively fucked themselves up.
The biggest misconception with like this type of stuff is people that are like maybe not in the shape that they want to be, they're like, okay, I need to start this diet, or I've just started this diet, or whatever it may be. But it's not a diet that they're looking for, it's a lifestyle change that they have to go through. It's so important. I see it in so many people that, I'm going to do this diet, I'm going to get ready for my holiday.
Yeah.
But it's like, imagine if you just like did the things year round and you'd never even have to worry about being in shape for your holiday ever. Once you actually even allow yourself, when you so-called diet year round, eating whole foods, eating clean is what I mean. But you say to yourself, I can eat whatever I want, whenever I want. You end up just sticking to what the goal that you actually have at hand more than when you restrict yourself. That's what I found anyways.
You're absolutely right. What does diet infer? Infers restriction. I'm on a diet. No. Let's look at it from a different approach. Let's say if a client comes to us and they're wanting to lose weight, they think that we're going to turn the whole world upside down. Chicken and broccoli, you can only have this, and the other. No. What you need to do to create behavior change is to meet someone where they're currently at. Because if I come in and change your whole world and say you've got to eat like this, well then that's too much friction. It's too much conscious effort or willpower to do that. Whereas if I say, look, show me your current meals. Right, great. Let's add a bit of protein into this meal. Let's stop adding this sauce here. Just do that for a week. Okay, we'll account for calories, but just do that for a week. And the next thing you know, they've lost a few pounds. But crucially, it doesn't even feel like work. So I'm not even changing the diet. Yeah, and that's where you hit that sweet spot, because can you see yourself sticking to this diet for the next 10 years? Yeah, absolutely. Bingo, we've got it. And so it's just course correction, micro adjustments, and that's how you get someone to change. It's not by starting this, I'm doing 75 hard. Yeah, it's like, that's great for social media again, and you might feel really good, but is it sustainable? I would rather you train 3 times a week, 45 minutes, really intense but short, and you have pizza on the weekends, a bit of chocolate here, and you still look great and feel great, than to go balls to the wall, but then burn out, and then put all the way back on.
And day 76, just go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the answer is, again, it's not sexy, but it works.
I want to pull it back, brother, to the start. Why did you step into the gym for the first time? And then why did you stay in the gym? Because, I mean, you don't look the way that you look without putting in a lot of work. And
My father's Giga Chad, actually.
So yeah, what was the reason that you stepped into the gym and effectively we've got the Alex that we have today?
Yeah, so that was, I'm 29 now, so that was, I was like 15, maybe 14, around about that. So like a lot of people, stemmed from insecurity, bullied at school, not very popular at school, more popular with the nerds, kind of hung around with them because they would not bully me. Not very good at speaking with girls. So yeah, pretty rough upbringing, boohoo, right? But yeah, nothing going for me. Quite naturally athletic. So when I went into the gym and I fumbled upon it because I watched a movie that was, and it really rung true in me, like it resonated with me as a young child, where the guy gets his ass kicked by the school bully who like does MMA, and he's just like an old school boxer, gets his ass kicked. Then he basically goes away, trains, comes back, and he beats the bully and wins the girl. Like it's the story, right? It's the archetype, right?
Is it Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Oh, it's actually
No, I thought you said it inspired me.
No, is it Spider-Man?
No, but I used to love Spider-Man as well, and I think it's for that similar reason. Like, it's a nerdy kid who gets superpowers.
Is it actually Never Back Down?
Never Back Down.
What a film, bro. It's a good fucking film.
I literally remember after watching that, I'd run to the fucking gym and just train my heart out.
Bro, it used to fire me up. Deadass.
Yeah.
I know that's a brilliant film,
I
bro.
put the soundtrack onto my wide headphones back then, and I'd just run to the gym and just train whatever. But that's really good because it was that fuel again. What was that really pushing me? It was because of insecurity, and I resonated with him being bullied. And so I was actually grateful to have those bullies in retrospect, because that gave me the fuel to go to the gym when no one else could be bothered. And then it got me the results that then got me the recognition that then gave me the confidence to then go and do other things in life. So without the gym, I would not be on this entrepreneurial route. So I wouldn't even call myself an entrepreneur, but I just kind of naturally fell into it. I wouldn't be where I am today. I owe a lot to the gym as a youngster. And it's quite trendy now for young people to get into the gym. But when I started, there's no Gymshark. There's no online social media. I was wearing joggers and just scouring the internet on bodybuilding.com to find out the best information. So it stemmed from that, and then that's transpired into this. But if I hadn't have gone through that tough time, I wouldn't be able to have the grit now to continue it. And I only do it now because like I said before, I enjoy it intrinsically, how it makes me feel. Not necessarily because I was bullied in school, right? That's done with now. But I think you should reframe your tough times as potential fuel for other things. You could put that into business. I think we were speaking before about, why does anyone want to start a business? Maybe it's because you grew up with nothing and your family's never had anything, and you feel a lot of pressure on yourself to deliver. Good, channel it, right? Or maybe people poked fun at your business in the beginning, and that fueled you to be like, nah, fuck you, I'm going to do this. Or maybe you are a bit materialistic, and that's great. I'm materialistic. I don't see anything inherently wrong with that, as long as you've got the other values in place. Like, I love fast cars, I love making money, and I love helping people. I don't see an issue with that at all.
It can be the same as what you said before with the 80-20, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Balance.
Yeah, and as long as you don't let it define you, and you don't hold that as just a sole value, but that can be a great motivator for, you say materialism with business, like, look, I want to have the fast cars or make X amount a month. Same with the body. I want to get abs to impress someone I know or on the beach. Great, let's run with that. But then eventually it will flip to the intrinsic.
I think the problem with like being materialistic about things, though, I wouldn't say that I'm outright materialistic, but I like the idea of eventually getting the nice cars one day and like the private jets and all of this like fancy stuff. But I think the problem with it, and this is just my opinion, but if you're trying to get this materialistic things for validation, that's when it like becomes the materialistic stuff that is frowned upon. I think when you're actually doing it because you personally like that thing that you're chasing, I think it's okay. Do you get what I'm saying? So like, you like fast cars, that's fine. But if you wanted to get a Lambo so that you can fucking pull up on people and they can be like, oh fucking hell, look at Alex, he's killing it, and like you're gonna get bear girls and stuff like that from it, it's like, that's the wrong reason.
Sure.
But if you like driving in the roads of Italy with your pals in a Lamborghini, and that's why you work so hard to get
that
it.
sounds fucking
Exactly.
fun.
But there's still both materialism, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you use it in a positive manner, like, I've always loved cars. Mechanic, growing up, Formula One, love it.
Yeah.
So for me, when I say I want a fast car, it's like, no, it's because I've loved them from day one. It's not because I've seen someone drive a 911 and be like, oh God, I wish he'd get the girls. Also, you probably won't get the girls either. It doesn't really work like that. So I think it depends on the context with things. But again, my point is, you can use these things as fuel, but just don't let it be the sole purpose you do it. So that for me was a great motivator with coming back to the gym, parallel with materialism, parallel that with wanting to look good for speaking to girls. It's a great source of fuel. It's very, very good. It's very, very powerful. But eventually, you'll want to flip that to intrinsic. And it naturally will, because you'll realize as well, once you actually get in great shape, you get more compliments from guys than you do girls.
Yeah.
Believe me,
100%.
Filling out that tea, bro. Yeah.
But to be fair, though, do you know what, bro? You say that, but you do get more compliments from the guys. Like, there's never, ever been a situation. Bro? Yeah, there's never been a situation where I spoke about how hard I train with someone that's not a guy that goes to the gym, ever. But you say that, but you're in a situation with a girl, your girlfriend, for instance, and like, if she can admire you naked and you know that you look good as well, and you're confident with how you feel, is that not the reason to do it?
Absolutely.
Because like looking in the mirror and like seeing some fucking fat slob that you're not proud of and you're insecure about, that's a killer.
That's a great source of fuel.
Yeah.
But eventually, what you'll find is once you get that end result, you can't keep relying on that fuel because you realize it was never really real.
Okay. Yeah.
And then it starts to flip with, well, if I stop training, how do I feel? Oh, I feel shit. I feel like my previous self. That's not me. And then that's where it becomes intrinsic. But to initially get you there, you could have a superficial goal like that because it's a great motivator.
The way that I'm looking at it is like, yeah, the health probably takes up 80%, but I wouldn't let myself slack off, like maybe for stepping into a meeting for business, like putting myself online, wanting to be in good shape, for my girlfriend, wanting to make sure that I look good, like not letting my slack off. Like those things that for me are still in my head.
But there's a lot more things to being in shape than just being in shape. Because we touched on it before, but when you look in shape, it shows a lot of very good characteristics and traits about you, right? Do
you know what the halo effect is?
Talk to me.
Yeah, I was just going to say explain, I'm intrigued.
So the halo effect is a bias that we assume people who are good looking are more successful, happier, and we want to be around them. And so when you look at business or even personal life, you can use this to your advantage. Right? We've had people wanting to work with me just because of the way I look, not necessarily what's coming out my mouth. And that's fine. But you can also use that with business, or you'll only want to associate yourself with people who look together, look the part. Like, how does he look? We do judge a book by its cover. It's human nature. If you were not to judge things around your environment, you'd be dead, because you've got to seek out a potential threat. Is this person going to mug me? Is this X, Y, Z, whatever? Am I going to die? And so you
it's
use
extreme, but
but evolutionary speaking, if we can detect another member from a tribe who's got a weapon, who has like a certain emotional state on the frown, well, this doesn't look good.
Yeah.
And so if we look at someone, even from mating perspective, they've got a good hip to waist ratio, they look healthy, I want to gravitate towards them, potentially mate, to ensure my offspring are healthy. This is still going on now, and this is why I even said the other day it's so important, and like one of your highest competitive edges is having a good body, because it can help separate you from the rest, not just physically, but you exude more confidence and self-assurance with yourself, that you've put yourself through grit. It's symbolic, like I said before, of the hard work you've put in, of the effort and the time. And so I think that's all more reason to be working out, especially as a business owner. It's only going to help your business. If you were to look better naked, do you think it's going to help or hinder your business? People are going to respect you more, whether consciously or unconsciously. More business opportunities are going to come to you. It's like an unwritten, the laws of human nature, one of them.
It's like your aura is just like your aura points are higher when you're in shape.
Yeah, and it all accounts for things like the facial structure. So I always say when someone thinks they're ugly and they're like, oh, I could never be better looking. Let's just shave 20 pounds off you. See what happens. Face goes a lot more gaunt. They actually have a jawline underneath there. And then they notice people start speaking to them differently.
You said before, people think that the guys that are better looking, that are in shape, that they're the more successful guys. But can't it be, if you flip it, the more successful guys are better looking because they're successful? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's like survivorship bias.
Yeah.
So we're assuming because they are good looking that they are successful, right? But
could be flipped.
It could be flipped.
They're successful, which means they're disciplined, they're motivated, so they're in the gym. So those 20 pounds aren't there, and they do have that jawline.
So there's a correlation.
They're better looking.
And this is the same thing with, you mentioned, I'm glad you mentioned this, with Ironman competitors. if you look at what they do as a job, a lot of them are CEOs. They are just highly, highly competitive people, right?
Do you know what? I've never thought of that. I'm into like triathlon, something I want to get into. Everybody I know that's like does them, like the older people anyways, there's guys that my age that are just fuck it. But the older guys, they're all businessmen that just like all well off, and they're just like, I want to challenge myself.
It's bi-directional. But that's not to say if you start, that's why I think, again, if you start the gym early in life, it really helps complement you later in life, because you build that grit and determination. Like, look, if you put in the boring, difficult work consistently for 3 to 5 years, look what you get, what no one else has.
Have you ever
Same
seen
with
that?
business.
Have you ever seen that X-ray of it's like a normal 70-year-old man. Yeah, normal 70-year-old man. It's like a 40-year-old man and a 70-year-old man, and he's a triathlete. And the 70-year-old man, the 40-year-old's a triathlete as well. It's like an X-ray of their quad, and is it your femur is in the middle of the quad,
And you can see the fat mass and muscle tissue.
Yeah. And it's the 70-year-old is almost identical to the 40-year-old in terms of muscle mass and bone density.
And in comparison to the 70-year-old that does nothing.
Yeah.
He's got like no muscle tissue, and it just looks like
Trophy.
Fred, and like I could flick it and it's
noodle.
That's
it's
noodle. It's literally the difference between being able to get off the toilet when you're 70 years old or not.
I think as you get older, it's even more important to be exercising and to be doing some kind of resistance training for that reason.
I've just thought of something else as well. I don't know whether you guys have seen, there was he's 93 and he's got the physical age of a 40-year-old. He started rowing. He fell in love with rowing at 62, and he's been rowing ever since. It's his VO2 max. His VO2 max is the equivalent to a 40-year-old's, and he's 93. Just from starting rowing at 60. So imagine if he started rowing at 30, the physical condition that he would be in at 93. And it's like, if that doesn't show people the importance of actually looking after yourself, I don't know what will.
One of the best metrics is VO2 max and, funnily enough, grip strength. If you can get them good, that's a great determinant on basically how healthy or how long you're going to live. And so,
wow.
Yeah.
My grip strength isn't very good.
Oh, no. You start Cali with me, man. I'll tell you what, calisthenics has changed the grip strength.
Yeah. There are obviously a lot more other variables at play, but generally speaking, if you can grip hard, you can probably pull things hard. If you've got strong forearms, more than likely have a strong bicep, tricep, and overall strong muscle.
Well, I say my grip strength isn't good. It's probably just not as good as H's. Like I could hang for like 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Is that relatively good?
It's all right. I don't know.
Depends how much muscle you have on you.
Yeah.
Right? If that could be great for someone who weighs 300 pounds or it's all relative, but the point is, if you want to ensure
300 pounds, fuck yeah, no.
We've helped clients like that before. Yeah, big boys. Yeah, that's a lot of work. I find with the bigger clients like that, it's not just a case of, we were speaking about values before and how you want to meet them where they're at with the values, rather than me banging on it to you. Like, let's say we've got a client, Greg, 300 pounds overweight, right? Really good in business, but he's piled on the weight because traveling all the time, airport food, stressed, like different time zones. 20 years of doing that, boom, he's 300 pounds. Used to be an athlete, hates himself now, right? Me giving him a meal plan and saying we just need to use brute willpower, it's just a matter of 90 days, it'll work temporarily. But if we want sustainability, we have to look into the values of them as a person. Because if I say to him, look, you need to eat like this for the rest of your life, but if you don't internally value eating like that, you're just going to revert back to your old way.
You're going to find their why, right?
Yeah. And if you find your why, as to why is it, Greg, you want to do this? One of the first conversations we have is, well, why the heck do you want to do this, man? Just to get abs? No. It's much more deeper than that. If you keep asking why, ask why about 5 or 6 times. You'll get to the real, like Freudian deep why as to why someone wants to do something. And so if we ask him enough times, like, why you want to do this, and you're at 300 pounds, it makes me feel ashamed because my daughters look at me and they're in shape and I can't keep up with them. And great, brilliant. So you don't just want to be leaner to be happier or healthier. You want it for your daughters. Fantastic. And then what we then do is tie in the behavior change that we want to see from them with their current values. Right, okay, Greg, if you sleep like this, or if you eat like this, or if we do X, Y, Z behavior, think about how it's going to make you feel towards your daughter, or how is she going to see you then? And that's where you get that behavior change, that flip, rather than me trying to you're currently over there, and I'm going to bring you over here. Like, no, you got to do it this way. You just got to use willpower. And it's the most common thing I see is, I just don't have the willpower or discipline. That's because you're going about it wrong. Do you think it requires me to go about my day using brute, sheer willpower every day? Yeah, for sure, there's a little bit there, but it's not an uphill battle like a lot of people start out with. And I think that's why these things like 75 hard, it does so well, because yeah, you'll get great results, but you're using sheer willpower for the 75 days. That's why you can only go 75 days. Whereas if we try and tie it back into your values, that Greg drops 50 pound, then 100 pound, we do it in milestones. And it almost became effortless because we tied it in with his values and his current lifestyle. I think I was saying to you before, if we want to look at the nutrition, which is most people's Achilles heel, training we'd have an issue with. You're already sleeping to some degree, but you're eating pretty terribly. But it's also a lot deeper than that. It could be an emotional trigger. Why'd you eat? Oh, well, it was used as a reward mechanism when I was younger. And that's when you start to seek out the cookies. And then they feel bad about eating the cookies, so they eat more to numb the pain. And then you get this like negative spiral effect. And then you compound that over years, you're overweight. So then if we meet them where they're at with the food and say, look, let's change how you value food, your relationship with food, and say, look, Greg, you can have that cookie. You don't have to, I'm not asking you to eat chicken and broccoli, rice, whatever. Have the cookie. But just have it in the moderation, in that 80-20 approach. Mm-hmm. Because as soon as I say to you, you can't have the cookie, you're going to want to binge on cookies when we're done working together. So we have to work with them, and we look at the current diet and we say, all right, just adjust this, drop this sauce, and not, oh, here's how you want to be eating, because it just creates too much friction to try and get them to do it this way. Whereas if you meet them where they are and just micro adjust, that's where you get really good transformation long term.
Have you had any situations where a client of yours has lost their why?
Just 1 sec, I need to quickly pop to the toilet.
And how do you
rejoin the convo?
Yeah, awesome.
How do you refind it? So let's say, for an example, we're going to use the daughter's example. Me and my daughters now, we go on a run on a Sunday and it's great. I've reached where I need to reach, but he's still 50 pounds or 100 pounds overweight. And he's lost that initial why because his daughters now look at him in a different way. Mm-hmm. Have you had any situations like that? And then how do you deal with them?
Yeah, great question. So people revert back to their old behaviors very quickly. And to ingrain a new kind of behavior, it's simply a case of repetition, right? Your identity can be defined as just something that you repeatedly do.
Yeah.
Right? So if someone has lost their way, we bring them back on what I call the straight line, and we remind them at least on a monthly basis, or every action that they're doing when they're working with us, how this is going to benefit them for their why. We just basically remind them. Yeah. When we tie it back in.
Yeah.
If you get to this milestone, mate, you're going to feel like this. You're going to be able to do this at this dinner with your daughter. Whereas if we fail to mention that, you'll just start going back to your old way, because it's, old habits die hard. So it's a case of just often people just need reminding what they need to do.
Yeah.
Because they always sort of just get in their head and then they just fall back to what is easiest, which is what they used to do.
I asked you this before, before we had to start again, but what is your why? Obviously, we've touched on what your why is as to getting into the gym, and obviously the bullying, and then obviously you felt empowered in the gym and you were good at this. But in terms of, in regards to your business, what is your why?
Yeah, I think I was saying before, this is two things for me. Number one, when I started out in health, no credible source is very difficult to find. And even to this day, it's still conflicted, confusing, and people are just doing things.
Because there's so many opinions, right?
Yeah, and everyone's a so-called expert. And I've never said I'm an expert, right? You should even question what I'm saying. I say to my clients, question it. Ask, why are we doing it this way? I'm more than happy to educate. So that's one of the other big reasons is I don't want people to have to go through all the trial and error, because it's just so much wasted time and money and effort. And if you could just, getting a mentor in anything, what are you really paying for? You're paying, not to make those mistakes and spend all that time,
go through those doors, don't go through them ones.
Exactly.
I've been there, I've done it.
Yeah, exactly. So that is a big one, is just coming in with the sea of information or sea of conflicting information that is health, and we're just acting like the lighthouse. But hey, ignore that guy, ignore Gary Brecker, ignore all these people that are using these buzzwords, and let's find really what works for you, which is often somewhere in the middle of being the basic but fundamental stuff. And then I think the other why I do what I do, I think, again, because I've grew up from literally nothing. When people say nothing, it's like, no, you had a bit of a trust fund or you went to private school, which I think really sets you up in a positive way. It can potentially with your mindset. For me, state school, moved around the country, bullied, had to change schools because I was bullied so badly, boohoo. But, you know, had nothing going for me business-wise. Like, parents weren't business savvy at all. Like, literally, if you want to start from ground zero, this was it. Like, I was just trying to figure it out through YouTube and piece it all together through this guy saying this.
YouTube is a useful tool that people
amazing.
massively underestimate to learn how to do things.
I mean, it's fantastic getting started, but if I could do it all again, I'd just get a mentor and just keep paying for the right mentors, because getting the right mentor just clarifies everything and assures you. And I've paid for wrong ones in the past. I've been burnt in the past, so do your due diligence. And I let it burn me twice because I paid for it. It really didn't help. It was a complete rip-off. But then I allowed that to then not reinvest into another mentor because I've been burnt. So I allowed it to burn me twice. So that was my only regret, is just because you invest a bit of money into yourself, maybe it doesn't pan out the way. Lesson learned, do your research. But I found always just going with a good investor, a good mentor or a program, something in my niche that I think could help me. If there's any shortcuts, then I think it's that.
That's one thing that I think we haven't so much tapped into. We've had mentorship, like, kind of, from some guys that just fuck with us on a personal level.
Also advice that we'll get from time to time.
Yeah, and just want to help. Like, want to help the guys that are a little bit smaller fish in the pond. But to go and actually pay for the education on a monthly recurring basis. Okay, we hit this challenge. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I hit it 10 years ago, 5 times. I know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
Yeah.
I mean, would you recommend just doing that?
I would recommend, if it depends on the situation, and I would say a few things. I would say, have I been banging my head against a particular problem for several months, 6 months? If so, look at someone who can maybe specialize in that problem. I would then also say, do I have enough humility to accept that I don't know what I don't know? And
that's one of the big things for me, I think.
Yeah. And it's putting your ego aside and being like, you think you're fine, but maybe you're just you're potentially a small fish in a big pond. And until you even just consider the fact that maybe you don't know it all, there could be something not even acknowledge, oh shit, you could be doing it this way, then you're just going to be ignorant. And then when you do find out that it could be done this way through your own experience, you're like, fuck, I should have just got a mentor, because then I'd be here. And so I said to you that, like, at the very start of the day when we started speaking, my only regret is I didn't start sooner, all this stuff. I didn't move out sooner, get a laptop, getting involved in the social media space, and then coaching and all that stuff. So I think it depends, but if you feel like there's some pain to solve with your business growth and it's not completely clear, I would 100%, especially a lot of people maybe watching this starting out, just get a mentor in the right space, but do your due diligence.
Yeah.
There are people out there who overpromise and underdeliver, especially right now. So you got to be careful with that. But
it's a tough time with internet gurus at the moment.
It's difficult to decipher. Again, it's kind of like the sea of conflicting advice that is health, but same with entrepreneurship online. You've got people shouting that we'll make you X, Y, Z back, and if you don't do this, then we'll refund you. But I find that sometimes a bit of an alarm bell.
I mean, we had a conversation off camera. It's kind of, I didn't even mean for the convo to swing this way. What are the views on Ean at the moment? Ean Gadzi?
I'm not quite sure, to be honest, man. I mean, I've met him when I was younger. I thought he was a very switched on fella. And I think with some of the videos that's going around at the moment, with potentially being a scam artist, etc., either way you spin it, I still commend him for his acumen in terms of how he's positioned himself.
Brilliant.
Because he still takes brains to do that. Mm-hmm. And I don't ever believe reality is black and white. It's in shades of grey. So you might say a scammer, but I might say, well, depends. Like, did you actually do what the program said? There's also a lot of people that realize when they get into entrepreneurship, that you think you're cut out for it.
You can have all the knowledge. It's like what you said. You could have the best plan ever, but if you don't market it correctly, no one's going to buy it.
100%.
You can have all the knowledge from, let's say, Eman's course, but if you don't apply the knowledge that you've now got and take action, you're obviously not going to get the results that you want.
Dude, I think a lot of people get these courses thinking that they can just outsource the pain and confusion. Like, oh, I got the course, so it's going to be done. No, you've still got to put in the difficult work.
People are looking for a get-rich-quick scheme.
Yeah.
It's one thing that business teaches you very quickly.
Patience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say that was a big thing for both of us. I don't know if it was the same for you, but it's like you get into business. We didn't expect to be like overnight millionaires. I don't think anybody does. But it's like you expect things to move a lot quicker than they do.
Well,
Especially at the start.
in our second month trading, we did 10K. And we thought, fucking hell, yes. 3 more months, we're going to be doing 50s. we're going to be doing 50s. Fucking hell, we should probably start looking at McLarens. Like, what's
Yeah.
It's time for the fast cars, yeah.
Month 3 went 6, 4, 2, 1, 0. Oh, shit. Now what? Because we were so fixated on reaching the 10 and then going. Because everyone says, once you get to the 10K mark, then you can start this, that, whatever. But we very quickly realized that our service, we weren't retaining clients.
Churn-through rate was too high.
Yeah. And then, okay, we got comfortable with the clients we had, and now we're not onboarding anyone else. And now all of a sudden we're at this position where we've got no new work coming in, and all of our previous work's leaving, and where we're going and what we're doing. And it was that moment where we were like, shit, doing 10K a month, every month, for 12 months is a lot harder than we fucking thought. And if it was as easy as 2 months worth of work and all of a sudden we're there, why doesn't everyone else fucking do it?
I think there's this false preconceived notion that you see online, like making your first 10K is easy and blah, blah, blah. But I think people have it backwards, man. It's like, well, think about something that is worth 10K in terms of value. I just personally focused on bringing enough value with the right marketing and sales. And then as a byproduct, the money comes. But if you're fixated on a monetary outcome like that, you can do it. Like you might have found out yourself, but then your churn through rate's ridiculous because you're just so obsessed with getting the 10K. But hang on a minute, you've got clients leaving left, right, and center. And it's much easier to keep a client than it is to try and get another one.
Yeah.
And so that's where service delivery comes in and be like, actually, let's really look after these people. I've had clients stay with us for like 3 years, just keep renewing. Because they enjoy it, rather than me being like, okay, on to the next, let's help someone else.
I literally said this in an episode that we released a couple of weeks back, and it was, we had a conversation with a very, very successful ads guy out in Dubai, and he was talking about, I'm bringing in this amount of money for my clients. Why would a client leave you if you're the reason there's an extra £30,000 in their business every single month? What did we do at that time to ensure that a client would come, sign up, and then never fucking go anywhere? And at that time, there was nothing. Because like you said, we were fixated on the money as opposed to the service. And once you refine that service, that client's not going to want to leave you because there is that personal approach. There is that good communication. You stand out to previous people they've worked with before, and all of a sudden, they're not going anywhere. And then you can even go even further and upsell.
Yeah.
Because you're actually focused on, right, we're promising you this, or we're not even promising you, we're saying to you we're going to do this, and we're under-promising and over-performing.
Yeah.
And then you're never going to fucking leave us. And we're going to charge you an extra $2,000 a month. And you're going to say yes.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, they only leave if they stop seeing a future with you.
Yeah.
It's the same with in the health industry. If a client doesn't feel like they have a problem, they're not going to change. So a lot of what my job is making people aware that you have a problem. Like, for example, we had a person say the other day, I'm good, man. Like, I know how to get in shape. I just lack the discipline. And then I said to you, like I said before, like, well, maybe you don't lack discipline. Maybe it's something else you lack. You think you need discipline in order to get this goal, but maybe it's because you're going about it too difficult, in a much more difficult way, that your discipline runs out, or your willpower, however you want to define it. So I think making people aware of a problem as well through the content we put out is also a great way to not just keep clients, but also get clients.
Speaking of social media, I want to ask you how important your socials are when you started taking them as seriously as you do now, and also the impact that it has on your business on a daily basis.
I still find it crazy the way I make a living in terms of social media. Like, I think baby boomers or people of older generation, they think everything online is a scam, and there's no way you can make a good earning or living for yourself online. But social media for me, I started out in it not even coaching. I literally just posted my physique and then did a few modeling gigs years ago and wasn't monetizing it, wasn't coaching or anything. And then it started coaching about 4 years ago is when I really started taking it seriously. And it's only become more serious the longer down the road. So now when I'm creating content, we always start with the client in mind. It's not about the views. I used to get 10,000 likes on my photos like when I was like years ago before doing coaching seriously. And that looks great from a metric standpoint, like, oh, really good engagement. But it wouldn't convert to clients that actually wanted to work with us. Frankly, it was mostly like gay dudes and just like weird people like who just like shirtless tops, shirtless pictures, right? So they wouldn't really convert to paying clients. And so if we actually got systematic about the approach with social media, and how can you treat it as almost like a funnel where someone comes in, they're cold, they look at our content like, oh, this guy, I like what he's saying, I resonate with it, calls out the bullshit, keeps it simple, cool, I'll keep following him. Over a long enough time frame, 3-6 months, they were quite warm to us. And then if we mention about our programs, they'll say they were perhaps interested. If it makes sense to work together, great. But that only all stems from being conscious with your social media, rather than just putting out random stuff. Oh, this is a cool picture. Like, how can we actually talk to the people we want to help and make them aware of a problem? So in terms
Before
of...
you start a video, you're trying to find a pain point. Is that what you mean?
So when I start a video, I've already reverse engineered in my head what we call the client's latent conditions. So for example, what are their beliefs? What are their lifestyles like? So a lot of the time, you'll find this as well by working with your clients. They'll tell you what their lives are like and what the problems are. So I just can't switch off at night. I'm just not structured with my diet. Like when me and the missus, after a long week of business, like we just want to go out and eat, and then I mess everything up. So then I curate my content around that and think, okay, well, I'll make you aware of a problem and then provide the solution a little bit in our content. And then that just puts us as, we actually know our shit, hopefully. And that's when, you know, you can actually start making a business from this. Is if you just go in with the intent of helping people, but you need to be very, very clear of who you want to help and what exactly their problems are. Because if you try and help everyone, you just help no one. Whereas if you hone down on people that you know from working with them, there's certain things they've gone through. Like they just don't have a big one. I just don't have time to eat. Like it's such a nuisance. Like I just want to wake up and work. Great. Well, how can we automate your nutrition? Okay, here's a video on how we helped X, Y, Z, whatever, automate the nutrition. They saved X, Y, Z time. And so now they've got the time to then work out or whatever. And so it all just stems from actually understanding your customer. And then it's just a lot more of a natural, organic process to actually then potentially joining as a client or a customer in the future for one of our programs.
So, what's the plan?
Plan is, so we've started a new program about a month ago. It's midway through July currently. So just over a month ago, we started a new program, which is purely just helping entrepreneurs get in great shape, but crucially stay in shape. The plan with that is to effectively just scale it up to as many people as we can help.
Is that your specialty?
Yeah.
People that are very busy, dealing with high levels of stress, and basically need help.
Exactly.
Being in shape.
Yeah, because it's one thing getting in shape. It's a whole different ball game trying to get in shape or stay in shape whilst building a business, because stress is one of the biggest killers. Stress makes you either lose your appetite or increase your appetite, depending on the type of person you are. Stress ruins your sleep, but then, as you mentioned, has a negative knock-on effect. So it's quite a cool challenge to me to be able to fix that, because it's a very, very common problem. And like we've spoken about on this podcast, if your physique is good, your business is only going to benefit. So they're usually very motivated as well to be on the program, because we paint that clear value for them. So our sole purpose there is just to scale that up and help as many entrepreneurs as we can. And the cool thing about this as well is, because entrepreneurship is usually quite a tight-knit circle, usually on social media space, like everyone kind of knows everyone mutually at least. And so if you do a stellar job, like they kind of do the marketing for you. Like, I introduced you to Alex, like he actually finally got me back in shape after 3 years of being out of shape because whatever. So it works very nicely for us. And I really enjoy working with these people.
I can imagine working with these guys as well is like a motivator for you, right? Because you're touching base and getting to know entrepreneurs in different spaces on such a deep and personal level. What makes them tick? What do you know what I mean? What happened in their day that made them want to go home and have that cookie, let's say? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Tasted good.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't exclusively work with entrepreneurs. We say if you've got an entrepreneurial mindset,
Yeah.
we can help you. Like if you're short on time, but you want to put in the work, fantastic. But for sure, like it really opened me up with this is, some of the clients I've met when I go out and meet them, what they're doing in their own niche is like really awesome to see, and you can take something from it for yourself. So it's kind of like a triple win-win-win situation. Like you're helping someone, you're learning about business, and then also you're learning from their business as well for you.
Yeah, that's quite amazing to think that you're literally being paid to teach them and coach them, but without them even realizing it, they're actually teaching you some shit along the way as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to make something clear though, because we get a lot of people who say like, I want to do what you do, man. That's really cool. And I don't think people have any idea what they're getting into. They think they're getting into, well, yeah, I've done a pretty decent transformation myself, and I know a bit about health. It's like, it's all well and good knowing about health, but what about marketing? What about sales? What about copywriting? What about service delivery? Like how professionalism? Like how would you do all this stuff? And when I picked this, I didn't know what I was getting into because I just kind of naturally fell into it because I enjoy it. But when I look back and think how many hats I have to wear, and not even just from that business perspective,
Wait, what
but
do you
also
mean?
the knowledge.
What do you mean?
So for me to be able to operate my business, I've got to know about sleep, nutrition, training, recovery, stress, relationship with food. Then you've also got to learn about sales, marketing, copywriting. You've got to learn about social media. You've got to learn how to edit, at least in the beginning. All these skills, right? And it can be quite straining to try and balance all those plates at once. So when people think they're getting into like health coaching online, it's like, if you want to do very well, I think you've got to be good at a lot of different things. And for me personally, with my ADHD, that actually helps me because I lose interest very quickly on things. So if I can dart around and do a bit of content creation,
A bit of everything.
it keeps me on my toes, and I really enjoy it because I feel like I treat like life as like a video game, and like why not just try and max out all your stats? Like why not? And that for me has always worked really well. And like this is why I see this route as a very beneficial
Really cool
one.
perspective to have actually.
Like why not just get really good at copywriting this and that? Because then later in life, if it ever turns to perhaps mentorship or helping other people build businesses, I've built out a lot of my stats that I can take a very holistic viewpoint. So I only see it as all as a benefit. It's a bit overwhelming sometimes, but it's, again, I just see it as a video game. Why not play things on the hardest difficulty and get the best reward?
So where do you see yourself in the business going in the next 5 to 10 years? Is that something that you actually think about? Or is there...
I mean, I try not to get too caught up. Like we have a rough plan, but in terms of like clear-cut milestones, in my experience, like the plan has never survived like first action. Like it always has to change. You have to be adaptable. But where we currently want to take it is basically just have a team for us, a team of coaches. We're more managing and making sure the service delivery doesn't drop. And we run that for at least 5 to 10 years as well. And we just continue to build that out and become renowned in the space of actually programs that not only just deliver you the result, but you keep them. And then perhaps in the future working with more bigger projects. So like you could do certain events or venues where we could host certain entrepreneurs who are all similar minded getting in shape. And we host certain events like that. So there's bigger projects like that. Then later down the road, where you could take this kind of naturally leads into me mentoring to what we've done. But that for me isn't for a while, because I feel like to do that, you've really got to...
No shit.
Yeah, a lot. And I think I see a lot of people doing like these offers like coaches for coaches and we'll help you. They've not even done it themselves. I literally knew a person who...
It's like going to uni and getting a business degree from someone who doesn't own a business.
Dude, it's mad. Like he's literally never run a coaching program. And then I see that he's just flipped his whole profile to, we'll help you make X, Y, Z with your coaching program in X months. And I'm like, you've not even ran one though. Like, surely you should at least like lead by example first. So for me, that's a really big issue that I really don't like seeing in the social media space, is people claiming to be something more than what they are. And you can't teach experience. Like 20 years takes 20 years. So for me, I only want to go to that route once it kind of naturally will go there. I'm not going to rush it right now. I'm just trying to enjoy it. I think I said before, it's very easy to get stressed with the business and more and go. And then you kind of ignore the signs to rest because you feel guilty for just doing nothing. But I found that actually, if you, corny it sounds, like if you just try and enjoy the freaking journey a bit more, right, and realize like your current self, where you are now, the past self 5 years ago would have kill to be in the position you're in. But you're here thinking like, I just got to get to this milestone. Like, it's not there yet. And I don't want to ever live my life like that because it will just pass you by.
The man that loves walking will walk further than the man that loves the destination.
What's the guy that in Wolf of Wall Street there?
Oh, at the start, yeah.
No, what's his actual name though?
Oh, Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey. I'm pretty sure he won an award. And he said, I want to, this award is, I'm dedicating this award to my hero. And my hero is me in 5 years.
Yeah.
And me now, present me is 5 years ago me's hero. And having that approach of, like what you just said, like 5 years ago, you would be killing to be where you are right now. But all you want right now is to be 5 years ahead. It's like that 5 years ahead person is always your hero. And you have to kind of like live up to that. So in 5 years' time, will you now at 29 look forwards to you at 34 and think, yeah, that's my fucking hero. That's my guy. With that team built out, with maybe this mentorship program, with whatever it is. It's like constantly pushing yourself to be your hero in the next 5 years.
Yeah, that's like a great like meta perspective of like bird's eye view of like, okay, what's my current future self going to think of this versus past self? I think that's just like the typical hedonic treadmill. Like you're like,
What's that?
like so
Hedonic.
hedonism is like basically when you just are always chasing the next pleasure. And so think of it like a donkey and a carrot and a stick. And so a lot of people just live their lives with
I feel like I'm a victim
carrot.
to that.
And it's like, once I get this carrot, and it's like you're ignoring like, all the beautiful flowers and stuff going around you because you're just so fixated on this, which you're never really going to get because it's just human nature. We're problem-solving creatures, and we always want to get to the next objective and milestone. So I think trying to have that self-awareness to be like, no, hang on a minute, like what is the rush in traffic right now? Like this is it. Where I'm at, like this is as basically as good as it gets, and that's actually really good. So I think if you can always have that awareness, especially in business, for me, has been really, really helpful. Because we talk about the future, like, where are you going to be 5-10 years? It's like, well, I'm actually very happy where I'm at. And that's why I don't plan too much, because if I focus on the present and do a very good job now, and I'm just proactive with problem solving and the next,
just keep doing good every day and it'll come.
Yeah, build a brick building a house brick by brick. It's the same thing. I don't get fixated on, fuck, I've got this house in front of me.
Most people,
just get the bricks
people that actually do it, like that are in the positions that 5 years ago, let's say they wanted to be in, more often than not get to where they want to get to and think, oh, I wish the hustle, man. I miss it. I miss the come up. I miss these days where we're kind of in this building phase.
Yeah, we had a client who sold his company for millions. And he didn't know what to do with himself.
There's only so many beaches you can go to, right?
Yeah, and it's like, just be careful kind of what you're aiming for, because for me personally, like when I got into this, I knew nothing about business. I still don't really know anything. But through going through this journey, like it's really made me enjoy learning about business. That's actually really cool. And so whatever I've learned through this, I think I don't ever want to retire. Like the thought of me personally retiring, like why? Like why? What? I think.
Why would I want to stop?
Yeah, if you're wired a certain way, like I always like solving stuff. Like, I grew up fixing cars or like fixing toys into cars. Like I always like to fix stuff and improve it. And what's the next thing? Playing video games, I would always max out my character, and I still use that same analogy in my real life today. I think the same will be said later in life. I have no idea what it would be. It's probably not going to be coaching, but this is just a stepping stone for me to again get to that. I think it's very important to always have something to do, especially as like if I'm not doing something, progressing towards something, I get anxious. At the same time, I can take a day off, but if I don't have a clear goal with a clear why as to why we're doing this, and just a sense of purpose, like you're just kind of easily swayed by the roughness of the world. Whereas if you have a strong reason and why and a goal, I think it's really good for anchoring you down and keeping you present and happy.
What would you say is your best skill? Because from what I'm gauging, that you are very, very well spoken. You've put in a lot of research to get the knowledge that you have today. Would you say that your biggest, maybe not talent, but skill is your willingness to learn new things and to constantly evolve? Yeah,
I mean, I've always said
that's kind of what I pick up. I mean,
yeah, I've always been told like you're a jack of all trades, but then I found the full quote, and it's jack of all trades, master of none, but often better than a master of one. And so when I heard about that, I was like, oh, it's actually quite potentially a good thing what I do, because I think if you start as a generalist, then you can go to a specialist. But if you start trying to be like, I'm going to niche down to be a specialist, well, you've missed out on all these potential other aspects that could have helped with being a specialist. And I think you just see things differently, like from more of a holistic point of view. If you've done a little bit of everything, and if, you know, in my 20s I did a little bit of everything, that's actually all played in nicely to what I do now. And so you can see parallels or similarities between what you did as a mechanic, problem solving, to coaching. Right, let's diagnose this. Something's wrong with the engine. Okay, well, let's run this test. Let's do this. This person has a really bad disordered eating. Okay, well, let's diagnose this. What are they doing on the weekends? And so it's all kind of helped each other. And I think for me, my skill with that would just be, I don't know if you call it a skill, but I guess I like being a generalist. I like being good at everything
things,
rather than just amazing at a few. Maybe that will come to bite me in the arse, but I think later in life, you'll naturally start to just gravitate towards becoming a specialist at a few things. So I'm not overthinking it. I'm just enjoying and learning about a little bit of everything. Like for me personally, if someone shows me like paddle, I went paddle for the first time the other week, and I was like, I could get good at this, and I enjoy the sense of progression. That's whatever it is. So I think that's would you call that a skill? Perhaps being a bit more open-minded, maybe, and just pushing yourself. But I'd say that's a good skill. One of the other skills that I've always been told of is my kind of vision with my content and positioning myself. So the way we position our brand and whatnot, it's very professional. And when I started out, and I still do most of it myself, to be honest, the editing and the positioning, the brand position, I think that's a good skill of mine. It's very, very important on social media. I think people go about things in a very cheesy way. And I think there's a certain way, like we've had clients come to us wanting to work with us just because of the way we present ourselves. I think that's really, really important. What you do online is how you present yourself, because you can get bad clients, good clients, depending on how you present yourself. And if you don't have that consciousness of, does this look the way I want it to look to attract this certain type of person?
Of course, you're trying to attract business professionals, and if your page looks cheap, cheesy, and shit, you're not going to attract any of them.
You can fall prey to perfectionism though. And I used to think perfectionism was a good thing, but really when you look deeper into it, what is perfectionism? Actually, it's probably more so...
I don't think it exists.
Well, you're probably more so worried about being judged, and actually stems from insecurity, because this thing doesn't feel ready to put out to the world to be criticised. That's really what you're worried about.
Press post, innit?
Yeah. Better to be...
Like to an extent.
Yeah.
Just press post.
Absolute dog shit.
Have a bit of that.
Just pure quantity.
6 reels a day. Like,
I don't know whether it was like a study or an analogy, but they had a classroom of like people that were making clay pots. I don't know whether they were students or not. And they basically said to one side of the class, like, I want you to make the perfect clay pot that you could possibly ever make. That's your whole job. Just make one perfect pot. Yeah. Then the other group, the other half of the class or whatever it was, I just want you to make as many possible clay pots as you could. And when the deadline was up, let's call it a month, the classes both came back. And then the class that had to make as many as possible ended up making a better pot, and hundreds of them, because their only task was just to produce loads. So when you were speaking about content, and it's like you try not to be perfect with it anymore, this is like a perfect example. It's like when you chase perfection, you're never truly going to get it when you just focus on the one thing. But when you do whatever the task is multiple times, and you just
repetition,
you constantly improve, you'll reach what you thought perfection actually was, and you'll be able to do it at a way bigger scale.
So quality comes from quantity, rather than just trying to get quality straight away. But I think that holds a lot of people back. I'll start when I get the camera, or when I've got this idea, or when just get going. I've recorded my content for the first 3 years on an iPhone, and now we have a DSLR, a nice snazzy Shure mic. But it wasn't like, oh, when I get this, I'll be able to do this. Even YouTube, I did YouTube through just the camera phone. So I think that's better just to start and to fail forward and get better. Because I think also people like seeing the journey. People also want to work with you because, like,
growth.
Some people have followed me for like 6 years from an old account as well. And so they just want to work with me because they're like, I've seen what you've done, and like, I love the mindset and blah, blah, blah. I want you to teach me. So I think also that helps, just putting yourself out there, being like, well, it might be a bit shitty. I might not be happy with it right now, but you'll be able to see that growth documented in a sense. And I think with an online world, that's a really, really good way to build rapport with potential business clients, is getting through to the human side rather than just being like this perfect image all the time, which sometimes people can't relate to.
Well, if you didn't value your socials, and if I didn't value my socials, we wouldn't be here right now.
No, that's one thing we remained mostly consistent with, especially since I started taking it seriously 3 or 4 years ago, is the socials. Is like come hella high water, is whether you like it or not, if your business is online, you've got to be good at social media to some degree. You've got to have an understanding of the landscape. Otherwise, you just get stepped over. There's some people that do better than others, but I think it's only a good thing to learn about it more. Like it's only gonna benefit you more if you can get better at positioning yourself and playing the long run. But like with anything, it compounds. You post today and give it 3-4 years, then you'll get the overnight success eventually. But yeah, I don't think you can't afford not to be doing it.
Well, on that note, if you guys don't have the time to run your own social medias and you need someone to do it for you, well then shout us.
Shameless plug.
Come on. Brother, let's wrap this podcast up because we've been here for a while now. I just want to say, first of all, thank you for making the trip down. It's been a pretty long day for you, which I can appreciate a lot. I've taken a lot of value from what you've said, both on camera and off camera. And hopefully this can be maybe the first podcast of many between us, and also the start of a really, really cool business relationship and personal relationship.
Oh, fantastic. Good vibes only.
I appreciate you, man. Genuinely. I feel like I've had a good insight into you and learned a lot this episode.
Good energy, guys. I like it. So
respect.
Beautiful.
Appreciate you, brother. To all of you guys at home watching, listening, thank you so much. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn the bell notification on so you get notified every time we release a podcast. And we'll see you all next week.
Love, guys. Thanks for watching. Catch us later.
Peace.